going to start on our knees this morning. We're going to start in Untitled Pose, which is it's quite a nice pose in the morning, because I don't know if anyone else, you have a stiff back in the morning, having lying in bed all night. So in Child's Pose, remember you can kind of open your knees, you have your toes touching, but you can open your knees a bit, because that makes gives you a bit more space for your chest then to descend. So sit your bottom on your heels as far as you can, and then stretching the arms forward, letting the forehead come down on the mat. If your forehead doesn't come down on the mat, you can actually use your blanket as a little pillow. And resting the head down, reaching the arms forward, and letting the tailbone release down onto the heels. So try and soften through the lower back, finding length through the spine. And when you put your forehead on the floor, you're actually stimulating your pineal gland, which also helps to sort of create a sense of calm. Take a nice deep breath in, fully into the back of the body. And as you exhale, you can almost feel the vertebrae separate. Feel the chest soften towards the mat, but you're still sort of stretching your arms forward so that you feel a slight stretch in the shoulders as well. Inhaling deeply, exhaling, releasing. Good, and then walking the hands back under the shoulders. We're going to come up onto all fours into Tabletop Pose. We're going to take our dynamic twist from here. So if you plant your left hand towards the center line, and we're going to open the right arm up towards the ceiling, turn the chest towards the right, rotating through the spine, and then exhaling, tucking that right hand under the left, right shoulder coming all the way down to the floor, right ear coming to the floor. And then doing that 3 more times. Inhale, press with the left hand, reaching the right hand up towards the ceiling. Twist all the way from the waist to between the shoulders. Exhale, tucking that hand underneath. Twisting the other way, ear to shoulder to the mat. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, tuck under. All the way down to the floor. Just staying there for a moment. So just check whether your hips have swung wildly out to the left, and if they have, bring them slightly back to center. So twist through the spine, hips aren't coming too much with you. And then coming back up to all fours, take the same on the other side. Bring the right hand towards the center. Inhale, twist, uncurl the arm, reaching up. Exhale, threading it underneath the supporting hand, left elbow, left ear, left shoulder on the floor. So 3 more times with the breath. Inhale. And exhale, tuck through. All the way down to the floor. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold through. 1 more time. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, tuck through. All the way down to the mat. Ear to the floor, shoulder to the floor. Just check what's happening with your hips. Take an inhale there and an exhale. And then push up back into all fours. And then we're going to tuck our toes under and then sit back on our heels. So I realise that for some people this is harder than others. If it is really hard to, see if you can stay with it for a little bit and then come off the toes if it's really too painful for you to do anything, to be able to think even. So if you can tuck your toes under, even take the little toes under as well. Start to get a nice stretch through the feet. And then we're going to interlace the fingers, press the arms up towards the ceiling. Nice long stretch through the back of the spine. So if you can relax the shoulders down, so you're drawing the shoulder blades together, the arm bones are plugging into the sockets, but the hands are reaching up towards the ceiling. And then taking the hands forward so that they're pressing the wall opposite you, away from you, rounding through the upper back. So now you can take your shoulders towards your ears, get the biggest possible stretch you can between the shoulder blades. And then inhale, lift the hands up again. So you're not arching the lower back, but you see if you can create a sense of space in the chest and the upper back between the shoulder blades. And then press the hands around through the back. Really spread the shoulder blades behind you. Once more, inhale. Chest lifts, shoulder blades draw back and down. And then rounding once more. And you're saying, when's she going to get me off my feet now? Release the hands, lean forward, come off the toes if you hadn't already. That feels nice. And then come back down to a normal kneeling pose. Good. So we're just going to come up to all fours again. Do one more chest stretch. So walk the hands forward so that you come into puppy pose. So your hips are staying as they are, over the knees, descending the chest again to the mat, letting the forehead rest on the mat, and releasing the chest towards the floor. So opening up to the front of the chest, open up through the shoulders, keep the hands stretching away, relax the head onto the mat. So if you can sort of consciously draw the hips back and the hands forward so that you're finding length through both sides of the body. Inhaling deeply, exhaling, and then walking the hands back towards you. Coming onto all fours, we're going to tuck the toes under and we're going to come into downward facing dog, but keep the knees bent, send the hips behind you and high so you find that pose that we just did through the front half of your body. And then slowly pressing one heel into the mat, straightening the right leg, straightening the left leg, just getting some stretch through the back of the legs and the hamstrings. And then we're going to do what we did last week. So if you straighten the right leg, bend the left leg. So the right heel's coming towards the mat. And then angle that right heel so it's coming inwards about 45 degrees so the heel can actually touch the floor. So your right foot's across the mat, flat on the floor, left knee still bent. And you're going to look under the right shoulder, look under the right armpit and stretch that right hip up and away so that you feel length through the right side of the body. So really see if you can lift the hip as high as you can, stretch through the front of the body, stretch through that right leg. Good. Come back to center, normal downward facing dog. And then change sides. So you're bending the right knee, straightening the left knee, turn the heel inwards so that left foot's about 45 degrees flat on the floor. And then really stretch away with that left hip. You should feel a long stretch through the side of the waist, the outer hip. Inhaling, exhaling. Keep pressing with both hands. Keep pressing with that left foot. And then come back center. That's my favorite stretch at the moment. Bend the knees. Descend the chest towards the floor. And then maybe playing with whether you can descend the heels a bit more to the mat, whether you can straighten the knees a bit more. Don't if you feel that brings the stretch into the lower back. Good. And then stepping the right foot between the hands, dropping the back knee down gently, coming into a low lunge. So we're going to start to stretch through those hip flexors. So sometimes we take this in a more upright way, and sometimes we descend the hips. So today we're descending the hips. So really send the hips forwards. Feel like your chest is coming forward, reaching forward, and you're really descending those hips towards the mat. So you feel a stretch through the top of the left hip flexor. So nice deep breath. We're going to take this nice and slow, let the body respond. So if you're not feeling anything, you need to draw the hips even further forward. Good. Okay, so just coming out of that a little bit so you can put your hands flat on the floor again, either side of your foot, stepping back, downward facing dog. And just give yourself a moment here, lift the hips high, descend the chest low, and then swap sides. So stepping the left foot forwards, dropping the right knee down carefully. Up to you whether you have the back foot flat on the floor. If you keep your toes tucked under, I prefer mine tucked under. And then again, so you can come up onto your fingertips, draw the chest forward and feel like the hips are coming forward as well. So forward and down. Once you've got to a place where you feel like you're on the edge of your stretch, come back to the breath, soften the places that need to soften and release. Inhale, exhale. Good. Hands either side of the foot again. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhaling, exhaling here. And then this time I'm going to lift the right leg up into three-legged dog. So press the hands and feet firmly into the mat and then floating that right leg up, hips staying parallel, pressing the heel away from you, firing up the buttocks a little bit, and then stepping that foot all the way through between the hands. And we're going to ground the back heel down at 45 degrees, just as we were doing earlier, and coming up, pressing through the feet into Warrior One. So the heels on the floor in Warrior One, 45 degrees. And your hips are angled out about 45 degrees to your left as well. Good, so both feet pressing into the mat, just bending the front knee. Good, so from here, we're going to lift the right arm up and drop the right hand down between the shoulder blades. Use the other hand to catch hold of the elbow gently. So if you can see me better like this, we're doing our normal stretch through the upper arm, but we're doing it in Warrior One. So as you do that, you might want to lean a little bit. So you're also stretching through the right side of the side body. See how that feels. Inhale, exhale. So you should feel a stretch with the upper right arm. And then if you do the lean, you're feeling a stretch through the side body as well. Inhaling, exhaling. Release off the arm. Face forward on the mat again. Lift up the back heel. Hands either side of the mat. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in downward facing dog. Inhaling, exhaling there. And taking the same on the other side. So pressing firmly through the hands and feet, lifting the hips and then floating the left leg up behind you. Keep the hips parallel, the toes pointing down to the floor, left toes pointing down to the floor. Inhaling here, squeeze the buttocks. Exhale, stepping through, hand between the feet. Turning that right heel down so the foot's at 45 degrees, pressing up into Warrior. So the outside foot should be, the back foot should be pressing into the floor just as much as the front foot. So that you will feel a hip flex stretch there as well. And then lifting up the left arm, now, dropping the hand down the back between the shoulder blades, using the right hand just to encourage the elbow a little bit up and back, so you've got length through the upper arm. And then if you did on the other side, a little bit of a tilt so that you can feel a stretch through the side of the left body as well. Make sure you're not pressing the arm against your head and doing anything weird with the neck. Inhale, exhale there. And then release the arms gently. Come to face the front of the mat, hands either side of the foot. Stepping back, downward facing dog again. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhale, come forward to plank this time. Pressing the hands into the floor, sending the heels away, crown of head away, lifting the belly and the ribs, almost like you've got a little ball, one of those big bouncy balls on the floor, and you want to lift the body away from that ball so it's not touching. And then dropping the knees to the floor, dropping the chest and chin to the mat. Inhale, coming up into a very small cobra. Making sure that your feet are firmly planted into the mat, the thighs are onto the mat, and then lift the hands away. Feel the back muscles all the way either side of your spine working to keep the chest lifted. One more breath here. Press with the hands and take it all the way back into child's pose. Bottom onto the heels, forehead onto the mat. Feel the spine stretch out the other way now. Inhale, come back onto all fours, tuck the toes under, lift the hips, downward facing dog again. Just as a brief little child's pose there. Inhaling, exhaling. Sweeping the right leg up again, three-legged dog, and this time allow the hips to open up and bend the knee. So your shoulders are relatively parallel still, but you're allowing the hips to open up to the right. You can look under the left arm and see if you can see your foot. Nice hip opener here. Bring that leg back to normal three-legged dog now. So bring it back to parallel. Bring the hips back to parallel. Leg straight. Inhale here. Exhale, step between the hands. Ground the left heel this time to come up into warrior three. So you're grounding it at right angles across the mat. Use that left arm to circle you up back to warrior. So sometimes when we do warrior, I'll come this way so you can see me a bit more. I say tuck your tail under, because that helps give you strength through the lower back. This time, stick your bottom out a bit deliberately. Maybe even lean forward a bit, arms wide, lean forward. And then come back up, but without tucking the hips under again. So you're standing up, but you haven't deliberately tried to tuck the spine under, just doing it a slightly different way today to prepare us for our back bends. So you're not jamming the lower back, but you're feeling that the lower back you're allowing it to be free. Pelvis is allowed to tip forward naturally. And then see if you can open the chest even more. Feel more space across the front of the chest. Good. Reach the arms out, lovely. From there, we're going to take it into reverse warrior. So you're dropping the back hand lightly onto the leg, lifting up the front arm. Again, finding space for the side of the body. Inhaling, exhaling. And then coming the other way, coming back to center, lightly dropping the right elbow on the right knee, lifting the left arm up so it comes alongside the ear, long straight line between the outer foot and the fingertips. Coming back up, find your warrior again. Find that space across the front of the chest, good. And then turning to the front of the mat, hands outside the foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, coming to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin again, or you can come down all the way in a straight line. Inhale, coming into cobra again, taking the hands off the mat, so you'll feel the back muscles working, length through the back of the neck. Stay there just for a few moments. Keep the feet pressed into the mat, thighs pressed into the mat. And then pressing the hands either side of the chest, lifting up onto all fours, tucking the toes under, back into downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale. So we do the same on the other side. Sweeping the left leg up, three-legged dog to start with. And then opening the hips up, keeping the front half body as it is, bending the knee, lifting that knee high, feeling the hips rotate towards the left side now. You can look under the right shoulder, so if you can see your foot. Inhale, exhale. And then drawing the legs back to three-legged dog. Feel the hips rotate back down so they come back to parallel. Inhale there. Exhale, step the foot between the hands. Ground the back toe, back heel across the mat. Circle your way up onto warrior on the other side. So sinking down as low as you can. Make sure the weight's in both legs. Remember, we focused on grounding last week. Pose starts with the feet. Just as we did before, don't try and force the pelvis to tuck under. Allow the pelvis to rock forward a bit, sorry. So you've got a natural curve in the back of the spine. And then open up the chest. Lovely, Mariette. Got a good view of you down there. And then coming into reverse warrior, resting right hand lightly through that long stretch from the waist. Take a breath there. Coming back up to warrior. And then gently left elbow to left knee, drawing that right arm across. Make sure the hips aren't, just keep lifting through the hip. So you've got a long straight line, coming back up into warrior. That openness across the chest. Good, and then rotate to the front foot. Hands either side of the foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Take a couple of moments there, just to resettle yourself. Maybe the hamstrings are feeling a bit longer. Hip flexors feeling a bit longer. The energy's moving around the body a bit more freely now. And then inhale, come to plank. Exhale, everybody lowering down the straight line this time. Go down as slow as you can. Really slow, elbows alongside the body, all the way down, coming onto the mat. Excellent. So we're going to come into Sphinx Pose like we did last week. So you're going to lift up as you did in Cobra, but then walk the elbows forward so that they're under the shoulders. The forearms are pressing down into the mat, and your forearms are parallel with each other. Good. So from here, you can roll the shoulders back, draw the chest forward, legs are slightly engaged. So you slight energy in the buttocks, thighs pressing into the mat, drawing the chest forward. Good. And then we're going to do our tucking up into forearm plank, just to do a bit of core work in the mix. So tuck the toes under, and remember that you're lifting the chest up away from the floor first, then the belly. Then you're going to come onto your knees. The last thing you do is straighten your knees. So the whole time you're using the belly, the strength of the belly to lift you up into that forearm plank. And then coming down again, knees first, and then peeling the body back down onto the mat. Untuck the toes, and then coming back into Sphinx Pose, so drawing the chest forward, rolling the shoulders back, so you feel there's a real sort of broadness across the collarbones. Take that again, 2 more times, so peeling up from the top, tucking the toes under, lifting up into plank. Just staying there a moment, so the belly's lifting towards the spine, navel towards the spine. And then rolling back down again, knees first. And then drawing the chest forward when you get back down there. We'll do that one more time. Lifting up into plank. Legs straight and strong. Keep pressing the forearms, the hands, the elbows into the mat so you can feel the doming between the shoulder blades. And then coming back down. Coming all the way down. Take a rest here, turn your head to one side. You can let the arms rest either side of the body, or keep them one on top of the other as a pillow for your head if you prefer. Inhaling, exhaling, let the spine release. Whole weight of the body release onto the mat. Okay, and then we're going to come back to Sphinx Pose. So just bring the arms forward to where they were. I'm going to start stretching the front of the thighs in earnest. So you're going to come into Sphinx Pose. You're going to take your left hand and turn the hand towards the right so that your forearm's at 45 degrees. That makes it easier on the shoulders. So you're going to look behind you. We're going to aim to catch hold of the right leg with the right hand. So you reach your right hand out to the side, palm up, so you're like holding a plate. Then the right leg up. Keep going back with the arm, so you're catching the inner edge of that right foot. So right hand catching the edge of right foot. So see if you can keep lifting out of that supporting shoulder. It's easy to slump down. And then you're going to draw that foot towards the bottom. So depending on how tight your hip flexors are, might be very close, might be far apart. If you have got some flexibility, you can turn the hand so that it's holding the top of the foot and really push down the foot towards the bottom. Or you can just keep holding that inner edge. If it's easy for you, you can press the hips into the mat. You can tighten that right buttock, that will intensify the stretch. If not, just go to wherever you can, to the edge of your stretch. I did this class yesterday, so mine are a lot more stretched than they were yesterday. And then releasing that one off, nice and carefully. Turning to face forward again, relaxing all the way down. Turn the head the other way. Release all the way down to the floor. Hands can be either side of the body or under the forehead, whatever feels better for you. And you change sides so you can see me. And we're going to do that on the other side. So coming back up to Sphinx Pose on both arms to start with. And then we're going to support ourselves on the right side now. So just let that right hand turn inwards a bit so your forearm's at 45 degrees. Bending up the left leg now, reaching the left arm, palm up, all the way back, beyond your foot so it catches the inner edge of the foot. And then drawing that foot towards the bottom. So you can bend your elbow to get some leverage. So your hips are still on the mat. See if you can keep the chest lifted. And then if you have got the flexibility, you can turn the hands so that you're really pushing the heel towards the bottom. Keep breathing. Inhaling, exhaling. Good. Release that off. Come back to center. Press hands down the front side of the chest. We've got to come all the way back into child's pose again. Knees could be apart, bottom on the heels, forehead to the mat. Releasing the spine back the other way. Good. Coming back to kneeling again. So this is where we're going to bring our mat towards the wall. Hopefully you'll still be able to see me okay over here. So you need to bring the long end of your mat. You might want to watch me before you go off if you won't be able to see me when you've moved. So we're going to bring your long end of your mat to a wall. And you're going to need your blanket now to pad your knees. So obviously the more times you fold it, the more padding you've got. And that blanket needs to be against the wall as well. Everyone okay? And then we're going to reverse. We're basically going to reverse back like a small lorry and put our knee on the floor all the way against the wall. So your shin is vertical up. We'll do the right leg first. Your shin is vertical up the wall and your knee is at the wall. If that's too much, if at any point this is too much, you can always bring the knee a little bit away from the wall, but start off to have a go with the knee right against the wall. So that shin is upright. I'm going to turn my camera a bit. Sorry, I don't think I've used the wall for a while. Okay, so once you've got there, you're going to bring the left foot forward about 45 degrees. Hands stay on the floor. And then what you need to do is sink the bottom forward. So to protect to stop the stretch happening, you'll find your bottom lifting away. You need to drop the bottom down. So it's almost like doing the low lunge that we did at the beginning. So your hips are dropping forward. So you should feel that coming into the front quad and the front hip flexor. So breathe through that. If that's enough for you, you can stay there. If you want to experiment with whether that can go any further, you can bring the left hand to the knee and then carefully the right hand joins it. So that will take the stretch even deeper into that quad and that hip flexor. So try to smile because that helps release the neck. Try not to bring too much tension into the shoulders and the neck. And we're just going to take a few nice deep breaths here, wherever we've got to, wherever we can feel the stretch for us. Inhaling, exhaling. 2 more deep breaths. Nice smiles. Ding. 1 more deep breath here. Good. Hands back to the floor and come out of that in any way that's possible for you. It's not going to be pretty, probably. Crawl your way forward and then change legs. So bring the left knee back all the way to the wall so that shin's up the wall. Just check your shin's not flopping out one side or the other, so it's vertical. And then stepping that left foot, right foot, so it's about 90 degrees in front of you. So just keeping the hands on the floor to start with. See if you can release the hips down towards the floor. So as soon as you do that, you'll feel the stretch coming into the hip flexor and the quadriceps. See if you can keep the chest lifted onto the fingertips, resting away from the fingertips. Obviously, if you press more with your right foot, you've got less weight on your fingertips. So either staying there and taking the few more moments in the stretch there, you can press the right hand into the right knee, left hand comes to join it, see how that feels. You can always go back down again if that's too much. See if you can let go of the shoulders, smile again, release the neck muscles, and take some nice deep breaths. So you've got to persuade your body it's all going to be okay. You don't need to fight what's happening to it. Inhaling, exhaling nice and deeply. 1 more deep breath here. And then release the hands down onto the floor again. Well done. It's quite an intense stretch. And wiggle your way out of it. Good. So while we're at the wall, we're going to come carefully to standing. Hopefully our legs are all still working after that. Hopefully feeling much longer through the front of the body. We're just going to take a standing back bend. So you don't really need the wall, but it's there if you need it, but I'll show you sideways on. So just going to stand tall in Tadasana. And just as we did when we were doing our warrior, you just, instead of tucking the tailbone under, just to allow your spine to curve naturally. So the most flexible part of your spine is kind of here in this middle section, because you don't have any ribs, there's nothing there to stop it bending. So that tends to be where we have the most flexibility in our spine. So just let that bit sit as it is. And what we're going to try and do is create a back bend in the top of the spine here between the shoulder blades. So you're just lifting, it's almost like camel pose, lifting the chest so the collarbones are facing towards the ceiling. So you're allowing a little bend in the lower back, but see if you can find some space in the upper back. Allow the chest to lift, the head can go back. I find it quite difficult to have my head back, so you can even hold lightly behind the head while you lift through the chest. And then come back up to standing. It does feel very weird. We're not used to doing back bends in our everyday life. So just try that once more. So you are allowing the pelvis to tip forward, but then continuing that arc through the top of the body. Again, you can lightly rest the head on your fingertips if that helps. Lift the chest. And then come back up to standing. Well done. I know that's a bit of a strange one. And just stay standing on your mat now while I straighten myself up again. Ooh. So we're not going to need any of the wall anymore. So if you want to move your mat back to its original position, then do. And come back a bit more. And we're going to catch hold of our straps. And we're going to start bringing the shoulders into the game now. So that's probably the hardest bit, that stretch against the wall. So we've done this before. So we're just going to use our strap to find some movement and stretch in the shoulders. So find a nice width where you're going to be able to move the hands over and behind you. Sorry, I don't seem to be able to get my picture right today. Better. So find a nice Tadasana, a nice pose to stand in. The body's not going to move as we're moving the shoulders. So again, you don't need to jam the tailbone under, just let it rest naturally. The pelvis can tilt forward. You're bringing the arms up above the head and then just bringing them to about 45 degrees behind you and staying there. So if you've made your strap too short and it's agony, then obviously just lengthen it. And if it's too easy, then you can come back, maybe shorten your hold on the strap. And then allow the hands to come a bit further down behind you, towards about 45 degrees. And all the time you're feeling that lovely space across the front of the chest. And just as we were doing in the back bend, come down another slot, so you're 45 degrees down. You've got that openness across the chest, shoulder blades joined together, a slight back bend at the top of the back, come all the way down behind the bottom. So we'll take that in reverse. So lift up to about 45 degrees. And take a nice breath there. Lift up to 45 degrees. You might find one shoulder is complaining much more than the other. Keep that sense of openness across the front of the chest. Shoulders relax down away from the ears. 45 degrees up. And then taking the strap all the way over, back down to the front. So we're going to do two more, but not waiting so long each time this time. So lifting up and then very smoothly and slowly lowering the arms down behind you. So you're going through all those different positions, but moving slowly and gradually until you get all the way back down. Same the other way. Inhale, draw the shoulder blades together. Space across the front of the chest. Arms are up at the top now, all the way back down over the front. Once more, inhale, lift up to the top. Exhale, this time low all the way down. With the exhale, inhale, lifting up behind you all the way to the top. Take the full inhalation. Exhale, releasing down in front of you. Well done. Give the shoulders, keep hold of your strap, just give the shoulders a little roll one way and then roll the other way. I can't hear all the clunking and creaking that's going on. Okay, good. So we're going to take a standing pose now that's going to bring all those elements together. So you probably remember this one. So the challenge is we need a little bit of a loop at the end of your strap. I don't know if that's going to be possible for everybody. If you can't make a loop at the end of your strap, actually, you can just, this is probably what I'll do actually, it's less secure, but you can just lasso the top of the foot. Just be careful that it doesn't slip. I'm going to show you like this. So don't worry if you can't make a loop, forget that bit. So you bring your foot up behind you with the strap over it, and you're kind of holding it over your shoulder like a handbag. I think you probably remember this from when we've done the class. If your strap's not long enough or it's not working to do it with a strap, you can always do it with your hand. I'll show you in a minute. And then what you're going to do is you're going to try and lift the strap up and press the foot away. So I know my arms are bent at the moment, but you're aiming towards feeling that stretch through the shoulders. So even if your arms are a bit bent because of the length of your strap, you're still seeing if you can find stretch through the front of your shoulders, and you're pressing your foot into the strap so that it's lifting away from your bottom. So you're creating a nice arc through the front of the body. If the strap thing's not working for you, just as we did before, you're going to take the hand palm up and hook the inside of the back leg. Just relying on the floor, it's exactly the same pose. You're pushing foot into hand, drawing that, drawing the heel away from the bottom, and you can just lift the opposite arm up. So you're still getting the bottom half of the pose, but you're just not getting quite so much in the shoulder stretch, but you're still getting a stretch in this right shoulder. So whichever way is best for you. If you've nailed it with a strap, then do it with the strap or do it with your hand. Hold it for as long as you can or you want to. I'll just take it with my hand again. So the knees pointing towards the floor, the hips parallel, and coming back down again. So take it on the other side, however you did it on the first side, whether that's strap or hand. You'll be better brief next time, because when we're doing it in class, we have that loop at the end of the strap, if you remember, so we might be able to recreate that at home. So if you do it with a strap, you're hooking the foot with a loop, bringing the strap up to the shoulder, and then lifting the hands up along the strap or the tie, pressing the foot away, walking hands towards foot, foot towards hands. So a big stretch through the inside of the shoulders and through that hip flexor. Well done. Breathe when you get there. Press with the supporting leg for balance, gazing at a point ahead of you softly. And releasing. Coming down safely. Well done. I hope that sort of worked. So releasing the hips off now. Hip circles, one way and then the other way. Good. Okay, so taking the legs nice and wide now, we're going to come down into a forward fold. So toes facing forwards. Hands on the hips. Hello, Eliza. So we're going to come into a forward fold, flat back first. So sending the hips behind you, stretching the crown of the head forwards, hinging from the top of the thighs, so that you can feel a stretch through the back of the hamstrings, and the back muscles are working to keep the spine straight. Make sure your neck's in line with the body. It's not, you're not looking up too much, and then release all the way down. So your fingertips are coming in line with the feet, crown of the head, flowing towards the mat. So your legs are straight and strong, lifting the tailbone up behind you, And then the spine is just releasing and relaxing from there towards the mat. Inhale, exhale here. So just check what your feet are doing. If they've got a tendency to roll in, then lift the arches. If they've got a tendency to roll out to the outer edge of the feet, then just draw them in. Maybe tilt the weight towards the ball of the foot a little bit. I think we've probably most all got a tendency to sit back into the heels in this pose. So one more deep breath here. Actually two, I need two. Good, then come back up onto the fingertips. Draw the fingertips so that they're ahead of you now, under your shoulders, so that you're lifting into a flat back position again, but supported on the fingertips. Send the sitting bones away. You feel that length in the spine, and then folding forward one more time. You might find that you get further because you've elongated the spine, and then you're allowing your head to descend back to the mat. One thing that's also nice here is to, if your head's quite close to the mat, if your head's not very close to the mat, just leave your hands to support you. If your head's quite close to the mat, you can gently hold on behind, at the nape of the neck, right underneath that ridge at the back of the spine with your hands. And you can feel the weight of your hands on the back of the head, drawing the neck long down towards the mat. Inhaling, exhaling. And then resting the hands on the floor again. Just heel toe your feet in a bit closer together so that you can sit down into a squat. Heels on the mat. Elbows to inner, knees. Drawing the chest forward. I think everyone's getting very good at squatting now. Inhaling, exhaling. So you'll bring your hands towards the sternum. The elbows are helping to press the knees away. And again, the tailbone's long. Gravity's drawing the sitting bones towards the mat. And then sitting back down onto the floor. Good. So we're going to take one final preparation for that back bending. This is where you'll need your blanket or some sort of support. So if you've got a blanket or any sort of material, and roll it up so that it turns into a DIY bolster, something like that. And then we're going to lay it down on the floor about a third of the way down your mat, and then lie down so that the crest of your hips is on that bolster. So it's kind of across the pubis and supporting those pointy bits of your hips. So you're coming back onto Sphinx Pose like we did before, doing very much like we did before. Kick the left foot up, reach round, we're just going to catch the inside again. Actually, no, inside's going to be too hard. I think with two hands, catch the outside of that left foot. And then just draw your weight wherever it needs to be so that you can then reach back and catch the other one the same. So you're pulling your feet away. You have to check if you're too far forward in the bolster, you might tip forward. So just reshuffle if you need to. So you're lifting the chest. You feel the shoulders drawing together. You're pushing the feet into the hands. So your thighs might lift off a little bit, but they don't have to. Lifting the chest, opening the chest, throat, and release down. Ooh, that's a big stretch. Release down, lie the head onto the floor, over your support. I think we're going to do that once. Well done. Hands under the shoulders one last time, pushing back all the way to child's pose again. You can take your bolster out of the way now. Stretching the arms forwards, child's pose once more. Inhaling, exhaling. Two more deep breaths here. And then just coming back up and coming to a seated pose. We're just going to finish with some forward bends to calm us at the end of the lesson, and while we've got our straps as well. So get your strap so it's somewhere handy. Stretch the right leg out in front of you. Tuck the left foot in so that your foot's on the inside of the right thigh. And then lasso the upper foot, ball of the foot with whatever strap you've got handy. So as our theme is being back bending, even in this pose, you can still draw. It's quite nice. You can lean against the strap. You can still roll the shoulders back. You can still feel like you can even look up. You can even feel that you're tilting your collarbones to their facing the ceiling. So you're using the strap to hold you up, sort of lying back into an upper back bend there. Good. Come back up sitting again. And then this time folding forward, hinging from the top of the leg. We've done a bit of work on hamstrings, but not masses of work. So just see where your body's going to allow you to go this morning. So you're trying to keep a flat back to start with. So you'll feel the stretch, hopefully at the top of the right hamstring. Just ease your way forward, however far your body will let you go with a flat back. And then when you've got to that point where it won't go any further, release the whole spine down. So you're folding your chest towards the leg. It might not be anywhere near the leg, but that's where you're visualizing it. Release the head, soften the neck. So you're just releasing over that right leg. Inhaling, exhaling. 2 more deep breaths here. Use the exhalation to soften, release, let go. And then uncurling, coming back up to sitting again. And changing legs. So left leg straight, right leg bent up this time, lassoing the foot with your strap. So you can, arms are straight, so you don't need to hold any tension. Shoulders relax down and away, and just again, you can lift the chest, find space through the upper back. You can lean into your belt to do it. So you're kind of imagining that you're doing a back bend. And coming back up to a vertical position. And then hinging forward, flat back. Use the strap to draw the chest forward to create that hinge at the top of the thigh. Even if you're an inch forward, that's great. As long as you can feel that stretch through the back of the hamstring. And then folding the whole body down once you've gone as far as you can. Releasing down, softening through the spine. Relax the head, relax the shoulders. The hands can just stay on the strap, or if you want to bring them to rest either side of the leg, if that's more relaxing. And then turning inwards, giving your body permission to release. Nice deep breath in. Maybe be able to release further into the stretch on the exhalation. One more deep breath. And then come back up. Let's just bring both legs out straight in front of us just for a moment. We're just going to plant our hands either side of the buttocks. So you might be flat hands, you might be slightly on your fingertips. Actually, bring your hands a little bit behind the buttocks so your fingertips are in line with the buttocks. And one more lift of the chest here. So lifting the chest, tilting the collarbones upwards. Stretch through the front of the throat. And then coming back up. Bend the knees this time. We're going to take our relaxed forward fold here. So bend the knees, feet flat on the floor, and just slump the body. Not very good yoga term. Release the body forward so that your chest is resting on the thighs. The head's relaxed down between the knees. Good. And from there, we're going to come down into Shavasana with your blanket. If you would like your blanket, why not snuggle up? So it's 10 o'clock now, so we've got time for a nice 5 minutes relaxation. So if you've got your blanket handy or your jumper, you can put your jumper on, get yourself nice and warm. Bring the feet to the outer edges of the mat and settle the length of the spine down onto the mat. Just check you're in a nice straight line. Look down the body, see whether the pubic bone's in line with the head. And then lay the hands either side of you, palms up, so that helps the shoulders roll back. Nice deep breath in. Soften the whole body as you exhale. So we spent a lot of this class stretching the front of the body, bringing movement into the front of the body. Now I'm going to let go all of that. Just allow the body to sink back into the parts of it that are in contact with the floor. So feeling the back of the legs heavy. Pelvis heavy. Feeling the spine relax down towards the mat in its natural curves. So that's quite normal for some parts of the spine to be touching the floor and others not. Shoulder blades broad and relaxed. Back of the neck soft. Back of the skull resting onto the mat. So really settling back into the body, assimilating all that energy, that prana that you've created through opening up. Takes courage to open up the front of the body. So you can let your awareness settle around the space, around the heart. Often I guide you to look out into the third eye, but today we're going to feel as if that's the center of our awareness, around the chest where you created all that space. Feeling the space around the heart expand as you inhale. Softening back as you exhale. Check that you're not holding any tension around the face at the same time. So release the eyes, the jaw. Thoughts come into your head, just acknowledge them and then let them quietly drift past. Bring the awareness back to the breath and that settling around the heart space. So it's time to start bringing some movement into the body now. So expanding your awareness from that center part of your body out to your limbs, your toes, your hands. Consciously taking a deeper breath, stretching yourself, however feels good. Definitely recommend bringing the knees in, hugging them a little bit to your chest, rocking side to side. And then when you're ready, rolling onto your right side, taking your time there before you find your way back up to sitting. So just taking a moment to check in with yourself, seeing how you feel now. And then we're going to bring the hands together to the heart, bow the head. Namaste.